Hello and welcome to Study with Sri. Here I am covering Indian Polity by M.Laxmikant chapter wise. I already covered historical background and you can find the playlist link in my description box. So, previous video I have started the constitutional bodies and covered the election commission's composition and independence. Now, moving forward to powers and function of election commission. तो इलेक्शन कमीशन का जो पावर एंड फंक्शन है विथ रिगार्ड टू इलेक्शन टू पार्लियामेंट, स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर, ऑफिस ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट एंड वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, वो 3 कैटेगरीज में क्लास डिवाइड है. फर्स्ट इज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव, सेकेंड इज एडवाइजरी एंड थर्ड इज क्वासी जुडिशियल. नाउ इन डिटेल दिस पावर्स एंड फंक्शंस आर. फर्स्ट फंक्शन क्या है? First function is to determine the territorial areas of the electoral constituencies throughout the country. तो ये determine करेगा territorial areas of the electoral constituencies throughout the country on the basis of the Delimitation Commission Act of Parliament. So what is Delimitation Act of Parliament? Delimitation Commission or Boundary Commission of India is a commission established by the Government of India under the provision of Delimitation Commission Act. Main task क्या है? The main task of the commission is to redraw the boundary. Boundary को redraw करेगा of the various assembly and Lok Sabha constituencies based on a recent census. Recent census के ऊपर बेस करके boundary को redraw करेगा. कौन सा boundary? Of the various assembly and Lok Sabha constituencies. The representation from each state is not changed during the exercise. However, the number of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe seats in a state are changed in accordance with the census. The present delimitation constituencies has been done on the basis of 2001 census under the provision of Delimitation Act 2002. So, there are 4 Delimitation Act. One 1952, second 1962, third 1972 and fourth 2002. So moving forward to next function. ये प्रिपेयर करेगा एंड पीरियडिकली रिवाइज करेगा इलेक्टोरल रोल्स को एंड रजिस्टर करेगा ऑल एलिजिबल वोटर्स को. नेक्स्ट इज इट विल नोटिफाई द डेट्स एंड शेड्यूल्स ऑफ द इलेक्शन एंड स्क्रूटिनाइज द नॉमिनेशन पेपर. डेट एंड शेड्यूल्स ऑफ इलेक्शन नोटिफाई करेगा एंड स्क्रूटिनाइज करेगा नॉमिनेशन पेपर्स को. Next, it will grant recognition to political party. Political party को grant recognition देगा and allot करेगा the election symbols to them. Okay, it will act as a court for settling dispute relating to granting and recognition to political parties and allotment of election symbols to them. So, election commission act as a court for settling dispute. कौन सा dispute? Related to granting of recognition to political party and allotment of election symbols to them. Next, it will appoint officer for inquiring into disputes related to electoral arrangement. Suppose electoral arrangement पे कोई dispute arise हुआ, so election commission will appoint some officers for inquiry. Next, it will determine the code of conduct to be observed by the parties and the candidates at the time of election. So, ये determine करेगा the code of conduct to be observed by the parties and the candidates at the time of the election. And it will prepare a chart, that is a plan, list of plans, that is roster. So, it will prepare a roster for publicity of parties and policies of political parties on radio and TV in times of election. So, Election Commission will prepare a plan for publicity of policies of the political parties on radio and TV in times of election. Next, it will advise the President on matters relating to the disqualification of members of Parliament. Same, it will advise the Governor on matters relating to the disqualification of members of state legislature. So, it will have power to advise the President on in case of disqualification members of Parliament and advise the Governor in case of disqualification members of state legislature. Next, it can cancel the polls in event of rigging, booth capturing, violence and other irregularities. इफ वोटिंग टाइम में कोई भी रिगिंग होता है, बूथ कैप्चरिंग, वायलेंस ऑकर्स होता है, सो ही हैज पावर टू कैंसिल द पोल्स. नेक्स्ट, he will request the president or the governor for requisitioning the staff necessary for conducting election. So he has the power to request the president or governor for requisitioning the staff necessary for conducting election. Next, it will supervise the machinery of election throughout the country to ensure free and fair election. So election commission has power to supervise the machinery of elections. Next, he will advise the president whether election can be held in a state under the president rule in order to extend the period of emergency after 1 year. So he has the power to advise the president that whether the election can be held in a state under president's rule in order to extend the period of emergency after 1 year. Next, to register political parties for the purpose of elections and grant the political parties the status of national and state parties on the basis of their poll performance. So, election commission register कर सकते हैं political parties को for the purpose of election and grant them the status either national or state parties on the basis of their poll performance. Next, election commission is assisted by deputy election commissioner. Okay, they are drawn from the civil service and appointed by commission with tenure system. So election commission को assist कौन करेगा? Deputy election commissioner. Deputy election commissioner कहाँ से आएगा? From the civil service and appointed by the commission with tenure system. And they are assisted in turn by the secretaries, joint secretaries, deputy secretaries under secretariat posted in secretariat of the commission. So deputy election commissioner को assist कौन करेगा? Assist करेगा secretaries, joint secretaries, deputy secretaries under the secretaries posted in secretariat of the commission. At the state level, the election commission is assisted by the chief electoral officer who is appointed by the chief election commissioner in consultation with the state government. So state level में election commission को assist कौन करेगा? chief electoral officer. And central level में कौन करेगा? deputy election commissioner. Okay, and chief electoral officer को appoint कौन करेगा? appointed by the chief election commissioner. consult किसके साथ करेगा? with the state government. Below this, at the district level में क्या होता है? जो collector रहेगा acts as a district returning officer, DRO, and he appoints a RO for every constituency in the district and presiding officer for every polling booth in the constituencies. Clear? तो 3 लेवल है. फर्स्ट, सेंट्रल लेवल में इलेक्शन कमिश्नर को असिस्ट करेगा डेप्यूटी इलेक्शन कमिश्नर. डेप्यूटी इलेक्शन कमिश्नर को मतलब कहाँ से लिया जाएगा? सिविल सर्विस एंड अपॉइंटेड बाय द कमीशन विद द टेन्योर सिस्टम. नेक्स्ट, स्टेट लेवल में इलेक्शन कमीशन को असिस्ट करेगा चीफ इलेक्टोरल ऑफिसर. उनको अपॉइंट करेगा चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर इन कंसल्टेशन विद द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. एंड डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल में कलेक्टर एक्ट एज ए डिस्ट्रिक्ट रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर and he appoints a returning officer for every constituency in the district and presiding officer for every polling booth in the constituency. Now, the vision, mission and principles of election commission. First is vision. Vision क्या है? Election Commission of India strives to be an institution of excellence. Institution of excellence है. By enhancing, कैसे institution of excellence होगा? By enhancing active engagement, participation and deepening and strengthening the electoral democracy in India and globally. So again I am saying that vision क्या है? Election Commission of India strives to be an institution of excellence by enhancing active engagement, participation and deepening and strengthening electoral democracy in India and globally. Next, mission क्या है? The Election Commission of India maintains a independence, integrity and autonomy. Election Commission of India, first में ही हम लोग पढ़े थे that it is an independent body. सो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया को मेंटेन करना होगा, क्या मेंटेन करना होगा? उनका इंडिपेंडेंस, इंटीग्रिटी एंड ऑटोनॉमी, इंश्योर एक्सेसिबिलिटी, इंक्लूसिवनेस एंड एथिकल पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ स्टेक होल्डर्स, एंड एडप्ट से हाईएस्ट स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ प्रोफेशनलिज्म for delivering free, fair and transparent election to strengthen the trust in the electoral democracy and governance. So, election commission free, fair and transparent election कराएगा for strengthening the trust in electoral democracy and governance. Next, what are election commission's guiding principles? So, the commission has laid down for itself guiding principle for good governance. तो गाइडिंग प्रिंसिपल्स क्या क्या है? फर्स्ट इज इट विल uphold the values enshrined in the constitution. So election commission is to uphold the values enshrined in the constitution, that is equality, equity, impartiality and independence, and the rule of law in superintendence, direction and control over electoral governance. प्रीवियस वीडियो में डिस्कस किए थे दैट इलेक्शन कमीशन हैज पावर टू सुपरिटेंडेंस, डायरेक्शन एंड कंट्रोल ओवर द इलेक्टोरल गवर्नेंस. सो इन सेकेंड पॉइंट द गाइडिंग प्रिंसिपल इज टू कंडक्ट इलेक्शन विथ हाईएस्ट स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी. तो हाईएस्ट स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी के साथ इलेक्शन कंडक्ट करवाना होगा. क्रेडिबिलिटी मीन्स ट्रस्ट वर्दीनेस. ट्रस्ट नहीं रहेगा तो इलेक्शन कमीशन का मतलब क्या है? सो इट विल कंडक्ट इलेक्शन विद द हाईएस्ट स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ क्रेडिबिलिटी, फ्रीनेस, फेयरनेस, ट्रांसपेरेंसी, इंटीग्रिटी, अकाउंटेबिलिटी, ऑटोनॉमी एंड प्रोफेशनलिज्म. नेक्स्ट, टू एंश्योर पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ ऑल एलिजिबल सिटीजन्स इन द इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस इन एन इंक्लूसिव, वोटर सेंट्रिक एंड वोटर फ्रेंडली एनवायरनमेंट. सो it is to ensure participation of all eligible citizens in the electoral process in an inclusive, voter-centric and voter-friendly environment. Fourth principle is to engage with political parties. Political parties के साथ engage रहेगा and all stakeholders in the interest of electoral process. Next, promote करेगा awareness about the electoral process and electoral governance among stakeholders, namely voters, political parties, election functionaries, candidates and people at large. So election commission promote करेगा awareness about the electoral process, electoral governance amongst the stakeholder, namely voters, political parties, election functionaries, candidates and people at large, and it will enhance and strengthen confidence and trust in electoral system of the country. Next, it will develop the human resource for effective and professional delivery of electoral services. Okay, so election commission develop करेगा human resource for effective and professional delivery of electoral services. Next, it will build quality infrastructure. क्वालिटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर किस लिए बिल्ड करेगा? फॉर स्मूथ कंडक्ट ऑफ इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस. नेक्स्ट, इट विल एडॉप्ट टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर इंप्रूवमेंट इन ऑल एरियाज ऑफ इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस. ओके, नेक्स्ट इज टू स्ट्राइव फॉर एडॉप्शन ऑफ इनोवेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस फॉर अचीविंग एक्सीलेंस, ओवरऑल रियलाइजेशन ऑफ विजन एंड मिशन. सो स्ट्राइव फॉर एडॉप्शन ऑफ इनोवेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस. इनोवेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस को एडॉप्ट करेगा for achieving excellence and overall realization of vision and mission. विजन एंड मिशन में जो डिस्कस किए उसको अगर फुलफिल करना है तो इनोवेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस, टेक्नोलॉजी, तो ये सबको अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा. नेक्स्ट, टू कंट्रीब्यूट टुवर्ड्स री-इन्फोर्समेंट ऑफ डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज बाय मेंटेनिंग एंड री-इन्फोर्सिंग confidence and trust of the people in electoral system of the country. So, to contribute towards reinforcement of democratic values. We are living in a democratic nation. So, Election Commission will contribute towards the reinforcement of democratic values in maintaining and reinforcing confidence and trust of the people in electoral system of the country. Thank you for watching. In next video, I'll cover the rest constitutional bodies. So stay tuned.